The Cincinnati Bengals are 0-2 after dropping 3-point games to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. And we're all feeling about the same way right now. A little bit frustrated, disappointed, semi-hopeful that they can turn it around and do something crazy. I mean, they did last year too. But this is Bengals on the Brain. I'm Joe Goodberry, part of the Cincinnati Bengals Talk YouTube channel, where you don't need anyone else. They got it all covered. That's not just me. I just do one show a week. They all got it. Make sure you follow and subscribe. Hit all that. Follow me on Twitter at Joe Goodberry, just the way it sounds. And I'm going to start this by saying, stick with me here, because I may take us through a bit of a story. The first segment is going to focus on Joe Burrow and the issues he's having, because let's be honest. The team is going to go as far as Joe Burrow takes them, right? They were good last year. They did what they did, largely because of Joe Burrow. The team's going to go where we want them to go, ultimately because of who he is and what he can be at quarterback. But through 2 games, he has not been good, and it's a big reason why the offense has also not been good. And yet we can focus on the offensive line and the 13 sacks and things like that, and how many are actually Joe Burrow's fault. I mean, we could go through all that. Would that be fun? I assume someone else is going to look at that. A lot of them are Burrow's fault. A lot of them are La'el Collins, Jonah Williams. Cordell Volson had a couple in the first game. He's been good since then. He was good yesterday or this weekend. I'm saying this from a perspective also of when I scouted Joe Burrow coming out of LSU, I thought he was like a 9 out of 10 in terms of pocket presence and processing speed. Like, those were his strengths, his processing speed and his pocket ability. And right now he's probably operating half that, if I'm being generous, to be honest with you. Some of his pocket movements are really poor. Some of his processing speed is really slowed down from what we saw last year. And maybe some of that is the offense not having designs that, a lot of play calling, what everyone's calling for. It's hard to judge it from my seat. It's really hard to judge play calling in a lot of ways when I see something is clear in the player evaluation aspect when a guy is not operating the way we know he can. And he's the catalyst of the entire team. Without his play being at an elite level, they don't even make the playoffs last year. So we're talking about the difference of what this team looks like. They look like a 7-1 team versus a team that went to the Super Bowl and almost won it based on how well the quarterback plays. And I would say after 2 weeks, that bears out. That is still true. So when I say he's not playing well, he's not playing good. I can say that from an area of confidence that because we know who Joe Burrow is, the guy, why he was the first overall pick, it's because we believe he will fix it. We believe he'll get to the point he needs to be. We believe he'll get back to being a great pocket quarterback that can move within the pocket, process super quickly, get the ball to the right guy every time. So it's okay to criticize and break him down right now, because then when we look in 2 weeks or 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and he's that much better at this, we can look back and say, see, that's why we do this. Because you can see the progression. You can see what they needed to change in order to get to the level of play they want to be. So we're going to start with that. We're going to start with looking at Burrow. What are their options downfield? Who was messing up on the offensive line? And Burrow's ability to remain a passer when things get muddy around him. And that's our first segment. Okay, trying to go in order a little bit here as the game flow went, because I thought he got better as the game went on as well. But the Cowboys are going to show 2 high safeties at the pre-snap here, showing the Bengals, look, we're going to play cover 2, because that's what everyone's doing. And they're going to show a blitz on the left side, and the Bengals are going to adjust for it, pick up the blitz, but you also have to read post-snap. So here, watch safeties rotate. The one's going to take the deep, the other is going to play a robber underneath, so middle of the field is closed, and that's where the Bengals are really running their routes. If anything, maybe Burrow could have readjusted as the safety opened his hips to the outside and hit the deep post for Tyler Boyd. In fact, I think that'd be a better play than probably running for it, but I believe this was 3rd down. So, again, I'm getting Burrow's mindset here is 3rd down, I'm just trying to make a play, make something happen. As Jonah gets beat inside, you see Burrow sidestep and then just go directly to the run, which is something that I think we're going to talk about for a while, because the sidestep's fine here. His eyes are almost up, but the ball's down, knees are bent. He's really not a thrower there. He's committing to the run as soon as he sidesteps that first pass rush. And our next play, this one actually will be a cover 2, and the Bengals are like, all right, we're going to run Boyd down deep, and we're going to have a dig for Jamar Chase, which is a very
normal concept is something that they're going to do a lot in this game, and it's the way they're going to beat it. And there's the window there for Chase. Had Burrow have had time to throw it, it would have been in the playbook. It would have been able to beat the defense by the Cowboys. As we're going to look, I really want to focus on La'el Collins versus Micah Parsons. I mean, you just hand down the middle, two-hand punching. It was not a good day for him. He couldn't reset. Parsons just beating him back inside, direct path to the quarterback, exactly what you don't want. I do want to focus a little bit on Burrow, though, because I think this is a nice way to get away from the sack, just to step back. And the window's going to be right now, right over the middle. Does he have enough time to reset his feet? Could he drift back in the pocket? I'm watching Josh Allen and the Bills last night. Allen probably would have made this guy miss and just drifted back even further and then rifled that ball over the middle. Does Burrow have that ability? Can he do that? I think we'd like to see that right now. Less hits, right? Do what you got to do to remain a passer as long as possible, even if that means drifting back even further in the pocket. We got another play where Burrow takes off running and actually has a nice slide, but the Cowboys are going to show a safety in the middle of the field. So they're going to say middle of the field closed pre-snap. And Bengals, I like this little motion here to get Jamar Chase to be the underneath guy. But you rotate that into a cover two there. It's actually a Tampa 2, as you can see, the middle linebacker carrying the vertical route up the seam. And I want to take you back to the beginning because the idea here is you're going to carry that middle linebacker out of there and then hit the dig to Higgins over the middle between the window. And I think Burrow probably could here. The window would be tight, and I got a play to show that later. Or just if his feet were up, he could check it down to Jamar Chase there. Instead, I do not mind. You probably get the same amount of yards if he takes off and runs there if no one's going to be in the middle of the field. So there's this example of there's a couple of runs that I thought probably are fine for him in terms of what the defense is showing you. My biggest issue here is his over-exaggerated pocket movements right now. Just this slide while Jonah gets beat and power steps that guy inside. That is out of his frame. It ends up stepping on Cordell Volson, so then he has to run. Yeah, not ideal. I'll actually roll through this one pretty quickly because, again, we're not getting a Tampa 2 here. We're not getting a cover 2. Burrow takes off and runs on a third down, much-needed play. There's actually nobody open on this play, so it looks like they're building in for the cover 2 Tampa 2. And they're not getting that. They're getting it looked like a split coverage. It doesn't really matter. It's what they expected versus what they got. Burrow has to make some miss in the pocket, takes off again, takes a hit again. And back to the Tampa 2 defense again. And at this point, we talked about it so much. You guys are all experts on how to beat it, as every team really is. But again, we're going to have 2 deep safeties. Middle linebackers going to carry the strong side receivers, so there's 2 receivers to the right. Bengals are running vertical, defensive right, I meant there. And you got to get to the checkdowns. So you got verticals and checkdowns. We know versus cover 2, get to that checkdown if they're going to cover everything vertical. You'll see on the one side, safety does a great job getting over top, carrying both those guys. On the other side, because Boyd bends it in, the middle linebacker's there, everyone's covered. So you got to get to your checkdown. I mean, it shouldn't take more than post-snap read. Did he think he was going to run for it? Again, that's part of the trend and issue. As you see Burrow here, as he slides into the pocket to the open void, fine with me. You could have sat there a little longer, but his eyes are normally quicker than that. Dallas is going to show blitz, drop everyone back and deep. You see the line here. They're really pretty much going to put everyone back in coverage and leave the flats open if they want. But there's options open here versus middle of the field open defense, 2 high safeties. Any one of those had Burrow been in the pocket tall and ready to throw, I'm assuming had he seen things clearly, those balls come out and are fired. There's really no pressure here. The O-line does a good job. Burrow kind of slides into the open area of the pocket, which is fine here. Make an easy throw. Your eyes are locked somewhere on a guy, and the guy is coming open over the middle. That flash in front of your face, it bothers him so much because his knees are bent, the ball's dropped, he's in a slouch position, he's in a running position, and it's just no way to operate at this level. All right, last one versus the Tampa 2 here. And I think Burrow needs to either say, all right, cover 2 again, either I'm attacking deep middle or I'm coming in my check down right away, or hitting the in route, actually. If you go back just a click, I'm not going back, to Tyler Boyd. He crosses the face of the linebacker or nickel corner, and you should be able to hit that. Jonah Williams he runs the guy around the arc. You could probably run him 2 yards deeper. But I think normally Burrow would say, okay, I'm not taking this. Switch his feet right now and hit the check down. We saw him do it last year, efficiently, cleanly, consistently. For him to not instantly get there and process as fast as he normally does, it's alarming.
Now, I feel like I'm in a time machine, almost. A lot of that stuff we saw on that clip there, or a lot of those clips, there was quite a package there, but a lot of the stuff we saw was Andy Dalton type plays, right? The things that got us frustrated. Dropping your eyes, becoming a runner, your posture becoming a runner. When you hit that back step and you step up to throw the ball, you can't drop your knees and ball and shoulders and eyes. You can't throw from that position. If you watch Tom Brady, a guy who's not mobile, never gets sacked. Why is it? Because he typically reads the defense very well, but he moves within the pocket. Micro movements, micro adjustments within, back, side to side, and remains a passer and remains straight up, ready to go. We're not seeing that from Burrow right now, or at least not consistently. It actually, when I went back to week 1 to say, okay, was I seeing this again week 1? And we were, and it wasn't until the second half, the last handful of drives, week 1, where I thought, okay, Burrow's starting to look like himself. He's processing a little bit quicker now. He knows what the defense is doing. He's moving it at a better pace, moving the ball at a better pace, getting rid of it at a better pace, getting to his check down much quicker. And then in the Cowboys game, I thought he starts to do that again at the end. So is it the lack of reps? Is it the lack of preseason? And I don't mean preseason as games, because, guys, we're talking, they would have played 30 snaps. Do you get that? They played 100 snaps week 1. The rust thing is not a thing anymore. But preseason is in camp, summer. With the weeks he missed with the offensive linemen not being in there. They're disjointed. They're out of sync. Does he not trust them? It's one of the scary things when we talk about, can you ruin a generational prospect, especially at quarterback? We don't want to talk about it, especially we don't want to talk about it in Cincinnati, because everyone would say, they're going to ruin Joe Burrow. We've seen it happen in David Carr's and the Andrew Lucks and the Robert Griffins. They already hurt. Let me rephrase that. He was already hurt year 1. He got banged around a bunch last year. He's been hit at an incredible rate. Not just sacks, but taking hits. If it has started to affect him, I would understand. Right? Just being honest. I would understand why he's dropping his eyes, why he's nervous, why he doesn't trust that he can maneuver and navigate within the pocket, that these guys are going to pick up their blocks and it's going to be free and safe to do so. And we want him to move. We want him to scramble. We want him to create plays outside of structure, because he is so good at that also. It's a fine line. If the glimpses that I'm going to show here are what we can expect, that he's going to get there, that he's still showing the flashes, we haven't lost him completely yet, and he will regain that composure, posture, and as a passer, and he'll regain that in the coming weeks. That's a good sign, because I think then they'll be okay on offense. And it happened on the last drive of the game versus the Cowboys.
Late in the game, Bengals need a score. Cowboys dropping everyone back. Bengals in empty. Burrow steps up, couple of hook routes to find the open voids in the defense. Does a good job. Window closes extremely fast. But again, we're talking pocket here and his management, keeping his eyes up and really trying to focus on that and the positives that we did see in the last couple of drives here. And you see the movement in the pocket. Eyes are still up. He's not running. Rifles this ball, which I thought was open a couple times during this game, and he didn't pull the trigger on it, and he ran instead. And now we get down to the goal line, right, where the Bengals need a touchdown, need a 2-point conversion. First of all, let's ultimate respect over here for Jamar Chase as they double him straight out of the gate. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to let him beat us. But they also double, if you look real quick, Hayden Hurst and Tyler Boyd from the slots. And Burrow does a good job just remaining cool, remaining calm, knowing right away as he looks left, like, all right, they're not rushing everyone. They're doubling everyone. The only guy not doubled, and this is part of the processing that Burrow does extremely fast normally, is he goes, okay, I see what's happening to the left. I know who's going to be open here. Quick peek at Hayden Hurst. Now let's get out of there. And in no time does he drop the ball, right? You see how he's still standing straight up even while he's running? He is remaining a passer. That's exactly what, in contrast to what I was talking about in the previous video. This is what it looks like when you remain a passer and buy time in order to throw the ball down the field. Now it's a 2-point conversion. Bengals need this to tie the game up. And again, here we're going to say, hey, ultimate respect here, Jamar Chase. Cowboys are not going to let this happen again, right? They're not going to let him be the one to end the game. Well, this time they don't double Tyler Boyd, right? So Boyd gets an isolation route here with the number 2 DB and just completely undresses him after he sells this crossing route and comes back. But we're focusing on Burrow in the pocket again, right? So again, he's going to take this snap, and it's the micro movements. Like right away, he knows the rush is coming from the right. So where is he? He immediately drops back, starts sliding to his left just a little bit. Guy's not open on the right, overextends a little, so we still see that a little bit, and then starts sliding to his left until he knows what his next read is, which is Tyler Boyd. And I want to focus on Boyd real fast because I did mention it, but I want to get in on look how he pushes to the inside. So the guy like fights and bites in and then just hits the brake stop on a dime. Oh, that's beautiful. Big ups to Tyler Boyd on that route. But we can't close this play without looking at Samaje Perine because Burrow moves him out here too pre-snap. I don't know if I caught that when I edited this, but man, watch one-on-one with Micah Parsons. Good stab and punch there. One hand. Like, look, we got some independent hand usage there. Then he locks in. He's getting thrown around, but he's sinking that butt, sinking his legs. This is what you show kids, man. That's how you block. That's amazing. And the last play here is on the last drive, and it's a cover 2. I'm not going to show all of it because it's all the same every single time. But as he realizes it's not there and he pulls it down, Burrow quickly adjusts and gets back to Mixon as the check down guy, even though, again, he overextends a little in the pocket. He gets out of his frame with his feet. Still, the processing is starting to speed up for him.
Yeah, that gives you hope. You know, if they're going to take away Jamar Chase like that, you know, maybe it was the red zone. Maybe that made it different because there was one more mess up just before that. It was the one I showed previously where it was a cover 2, and he drops his eyes, and then Higgins is coming across on the deep dig. So that preceded that group of plays I just showed right there. So maybe it's still coming together. And then that last play I showed where he's kind of still outside of his frame as he steps up, which makes it very hard to throw. And you're not going to throw with any torque if you're outside your frame as well. You need to get the hip movement in there. If your legs are spread, you can't flip your hips. Try and do it at home. One more play, because I see a lot of national analysts, and I get why, because I have a lot of friends that just watch the tape only. You don't see the TV copy. The value of seeing the TV copy is sometimes you get a little bit more pre-snap, a few more seconds to see the play pre-snap. And it's this play right here where we're seeing a free rusher for Micah Parsons, and you go, how can the Bengals do this? They need to figure it out. Their coaching is a problem. There's mass dysfunction with their pass protection. Sure, but this isn't the good example. So I want to break that down real fast and show you why. It's really on a player messing up, not getting the call, not understanding the call, not doing his job.
Okay, breaking down the Bengals played sugar in the A gap from the Mike Zimmer days. What that's going to do means the Cowboys are bringing 6 guys. The Bengals typically, how you would block this would be the inside first, leaving Drew Sample one-on-one with Micah Parsons. We don't want that at all. We've seen how that looks. So the Bengals are going to bring Drew Sample inside and say, hey, if they are actually blitzing, you're going to take one of the linebackers here, 42 and 55. And you in the center will split that, and everyone on the outside can block. Normally, I had them switched around there. Let me correct that real quick. But it doesn't matter because both inside guys in the A-gap are going to drop back into coverage. Burrow's going to be hurried and just has to kind of get rid of it really quick. So what happens here? Well, everyone gets the look that we're going back to normal blocking. Everyone hears it, except for Lael Collins that still blocks the defensive tackle. My man messed up bad.
So that wraps up this week's Bengals on the Brain Show. We're blaming Lael Collins there. He looks stiff. He looks like there's an issue. I mean, we can do a whole player evaluation. I think we will probably do that. Less X's and O's, as long as the cover 2 is not still a major issue. I think they'll figure that out eventually. But less X's and O's, maybe a little more player evaluation on Jonah Williams and Lael Collins. Give Collins another week to knock that rust off if that's the case, or is it more permanent health issues that have now slowed him down and stiffened him up? Mental reps, though. He played under Frank Pollock before. This shouldn't be mental mistakes that are plaguing him, which definitely did, as we just saw there. So maybe we'll focus on what they're doing exactly wrong, what their issues are, what their limitations are, or they'll get it together and we'll all be happy, and that'll be great too, and we can focus on that end. But man, when the Bengals are 2-2, we'll have to revisit and look at this and say, you wish you would have snuck those games out, those first 2 games, because they're both winnable. They're both right there. If you could have come into either of those games more prepared, the defense giving up points right away, Defense has been great, but they've given up points right away, and they've given up late drives in both games. In the middle, they've been fantastic. So there is stuff to talk about the defense. We haven't yet, because the offense has been... You can't average 18 points a game and expect us to sit here and be happy and just, go right to the defense as good as they've been. This offense should be scoring 30 points a game. So that's the bar, and that's where we're still expecting, especially when we watch these other teams around the league and just have no issue with it. Yes, the O-line's an issue. Do I think they'll get better? I do. Yes, Joe Burrow is an issue right now. Do I think he'll get better? I do. And I hope, and he better. And that's why I wanted to focus on it, because it's so important for this team, this franchise, this city, that he is okay and gets to the point where we know he can play. Again, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. You don't have to, actually. It's great that you just clicked on this and watched all the way to the end, because I appreciate that. Let's go. Got the Jets and the Dolphins. I'm already looking ahead, because the stretch isn't hard in the beginning of the year. You drop these 2 games and it's a problem. You can win the next 2, I think, with the one being at home. Dolphins being the stronger one, but being at home on Thursday night, those teams typically win. You got to take care of the Jets first and foremost. Obviously, they gave us an issue last year, not to overlook them, but got to get right. Get right game starts now, because you can't go 0-3. Then you might as well throw the season down and figure out what you got to do from there. But can't go 0-3. So let's go Bengals. Figure it out.